Hi everyone. Yeah, it's been a while since I last recorded a video, and actually, a couple of you have reached out to check in, just make sure that I'm doing okay. So I really appreciate those who have. Yeah, I mean, it's been not a great April, I have to say. I've had better months, and that's kind of been one of the reasons why I haven't recorded anything. But also, I just haven't had anything that I've wanted to say. But as I was walking home from work today, I had a kind of an epiphany where I was like, oh, this is something that I do want to say. So I'm going to start by saying I'm actually feeling much better today, which is good. Trans people over the last month, especially if you're a British trans person, it's been a lot to take in. And there's been a lot of stuff that we've had to hear and read and deal with, and that's been a lot, and it's been tough for me to deal with because it's felt a little bit like society's forcing me back to square one. And I have been talking to a lot of people. I've talked to my counselor, I talked to my friends, I talked to my relatives, and a lot of them try to remind me, and I try to remind myself, look at where you are today, Andy. Look around you, look at your current circumstances. And I think that's a really fair way to try to reset me and ground me again. Because let's rewind like a year and 8 months or so in change, maybe let's say 2 years, when I started to think about transitioning and embarking on this little journey. And yeah, I have to say, the goals that I'd set for myself back then, I tried to be quite realistic about what I could and couldn't expect over the next couple of years and onwards and beyond that. I knew that, I'm transitioning a little bit later in life. I'm in my 40s, and the changes that I can expect to see aren't going to be that fantastic. So I can't expect to be, passing or looking as youthfully vibrant as a lot of the trans people are that we see on social media. I had to be fairly realistic about what I could and couldn't achieve. But that being said, what kind of goals did I set for myself back when I was hoping that I could start transitioning? Well, first of all, my primary goal was that I would be out to at least all of my family, which I am. Another goal that I had would be that I would be able to live a much more authentic life. And what that would mean is basically being out there in the world, presenting feminine as often as I could. And I have to say, I've ticked that box. I'm living my life. I wear my clothes. That involves dresses and skirts, but also trousers and shirts and whatever seems appropriate at the given time. But I present as female as I can. I mean, yes, I know I'm not like a stunning cis woman by any stretch of the imaginations, but I knew that I wouldn't ever be. And it's kind of funny because back in the olden times, people would say I was a handsome looking cis presenting man. People would say that I'm handsome, I looked good. And I would never really believe that because I'd never felt that within myself. If somebody said that I look good back when I was living as a man, it never felt right to me. It never sat comfortably on my shoulders. I couldn't accept that praise because I'd never felt that it was true. But now when people call me beautiful, I just have to shrug and say, yeah, I know, because I feel that's true. I feel like I am. And I know that not everybody watching this video is going to agree with me. And I do get commenters critiquing my appearance. And it's kind of funny because it's completely flipped. When people come in and start telling me that I need plastic surgery, or I'm not trying hard enough, or I'm never going to pass, or I'm ugly, or whatever, it's like, I don't recognize that. I don't feel that criticism in the same way I never felt that praise when I presented male. It just doesn't feel right to me. I feel beautiful. And if you disagree with me, you are more than welcome to. And, like beauty is subjective and all that sort of thing. But I don't know. It's just how I feel. And so I have to say that's exceeded those expectations. That's exceeded that goal that I set for myself way back then. So what were the other goals that I'd set for myself back when I started planning my transitioning journey? Well, being out at work was a kind of good to have. It was something that I aspired to do, but it wasn't something that I thought would come as easy as it has done. Basically, in every single space that I inhabit in my job, and by the way, I work with many people across the globe, at least I can say in the hundreds easily. And most people in meetings that I attend, in spaces that I go to, I'm referred to as she. It does happen from time to time. People will call me he, and that's fine because not everyone is aware of my status. And as I say, I'm not exactly overtly feminine all the time. But whenever I've corrected people, and I try to do that as gently and respectfully as I possibly can, people are really super receptive to that. And I've never felt any kind of hostility or resentment to this in my work. And that, again, that's exceeded my expectations. I expected some kind of, I don't know, negativity somehow, however you wish to understand that. And it's not been anything like that. It's been wonderful. And in fact, I can extend that to my life out in the world as well. I don't hide myself away like I know a lot of people do. I kind of have a bit of a privilege in the fact that I live in a city where people don't really seem to be that bothered. I have to say, I do get like the odd look and a very, very occasional glare. I've only detected like 2 or 3 in the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months that I've been out in the streets being myself. And I've never had any comments. In fact, I think people are, if anything, super nice and positive. I was called beautiful yesterday as I held the door open to somebody, and it's like little things like that, little experiences like that that just make my heart glow. And it's hard to maintain a kind of miserable perception on life when you're treated so respectfully and so decently. And I have to say, when it comes to goals, when it comes to the main headline of how I wanted to exist in the world when I was out and when I was about, it's that one word, it's decency. That's all I really wanted. Everything else is kind of window dressing, to be gendered correctly, to be allowed into certain spaces, to be treated as one of the girls. These were all things which were, again, these were good to haves. These weren't essentials. That decency, that permission to just exist, that was my primary goal. And I have to say, it's been nothing but that. It's been nothing but decent. And so it's just, I can't complain on that front. It's great. And I don't know why suddenly, as I say today, I had this kind of dawning realization that actually, looking around myself and looking at my circumstances, I'm just so lucky, and I've nailed every single one of my goals and ambitions for transitioning. I don't know what it was. I think it's just one of the things is that I can feel this becoming mundane and boring. And this, I think, was another one of my big goals. I want this to be boring. I don't want to be some kind of like crazy center of attention. Look at me, drop what you're doing and heed what I say. Even though I'm making a YouTube video, I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I do recognize that. I want this to be boring. I want this to be mundane, and I can feel it happening. I can feel my life is kind of becoming that. I get up, I get dressed, I go to work, I come home, and I don't feel like any part of that, my gender, is interfering or is part of that. I get on the metro, for instance, and no one's staring at me, no one's coming up to me and starting a conversation, be that positive or negative. It's brilliant. That's absolutely what I want. And in a way, it kind of touches on that I'm finding things difficult to talk about, because I feel my life starting to become more boring. Ultimately, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go out for drinks because one of my colleagues, well, actually, I'd say a good friend of mine, she's leaving the country. She's going to get another job somewhere. And so I would go and I would hang out with some other people. And it's like, what am I going to talk to them about? I've got nothing. I'm so boring. Oh my God. I'm going to have to try to struggle my way through a lot of conversations because I am quite boring. And that's brilliant. That's so wonderful. And I think that realization that's been kind of like coming to me over the last few days that, oh, yeah, actually, my life is quite boring. And it's boring in a kind of female way. And that's brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted. So that's kind of what I wanted to say today. I am boring. And that's absolutely one of my transitioning goals, to be boring and to have a boring life. And I am so grateful that that's the life that I have right now. So, yeah, that's great. I'm so happy about that. And I know that sounds like it's a weird thing to boast about and be happy about, but I think for a lot of you who are going through transition, it would not surprise me if that is the ultimate goal of so many of you, to have a life that is just kind of there. And it's great because I feel like I've kind of experienced that over the last week or so, and I'm really loving it. So thank you very much to Poland and Warsaw and to my job and to my friends and to my family for making my life so dull and uninteresting. I can't thank you more. So that's all I wanted to say today. I know this is kind of like a throwback to my very first videos, and it's kind of funny because I'm approaching my 12-month anniversary of making YouTube videos. And I've had a bit of a pause, but I feel like I've got a bit of energy and a bit of my spark back through being so boring. I'm making this video as a kind of a callback to those old times of me just standing in front, well, actually sitting in front of my camera in my bedroom, talking. No fancy editing, no walking around Warsaw, just me talking nonsense to the camera. So thank you very much for those of you who've suffered through this video, as boring as it is. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you liked it. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. I have quite a few subscribers now. It's quite amazing. It's just wonderful to know that there are people watching this video and these videos and appreciating it. So thank you very much for those of you who do. If you would like to say anything to me, please put your comment in the comment section. I love reading what people have to say. Tell me what your goals are, not necessarily transitioning goals, but how have you accomplished your own personal goals over the last 12 months? I've actually maybe found that quite nice. I think that's helped me refocus on things over the last few days. So maybe if you are going through a difficult period, maybe looking at your goals and seeing how many of those you've accomplished might do the same to you. I don't know. If you'd like to support my channel, it's just me and a camera. You can buy me a coffee. I'll put the details for that in the description below. Otherwise, thank you very much. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care. All the best. Goodbye.